This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good night and welcome to the Doctors In. Okay, I'm getting a little feedback. Okay. Hello, good night and well, I don't know if that's me or you, producer, but I'm getting a lot of feedback. Hello, good night. Welcome to the Doctors In. A little technical problem here. Let's see. Good night. Hello, good night, and welcome to the Doctors In with me, Dr. Denotha Archer Cartwright. I don't know why that. Hello? Okay, they say the sound is perfect on the other side, but for some reason I am like echoing back and forth. Okay, now it's perfect for me. Great. Welcome to the show. Good night. Welcome to the Doctors In with me, Dr. Denotha Archer Cartwright, family medicine specialist and consultant. Thank you for joining us for another exciting evening of all things health, wellness, and things that pertain to the Bahamian Society. I want to thank you for joining in with us and tuning in each Tuesday night. We are on Guardian Radio 96.9. You can also listen to us on guardiantalkradio.com. We are live on Facebook. It's our live show on Facebook is on our page, The Doctors In with me, Dr. Denotha Archer, or me, Dr. D. Archer. And tonight, of course, brought to you by Medical Concierge Services for all your medical healthcare needs, all your family medicine requirements. Our clinic is located in the Heart Center on 72 Collins Avenue. And our phone number is 326-1521. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. That's Medical Concierge Services, or on Instagram, that's medical_services. Well, medical concierge services. So underscore in between each word. And also our website, which would be mcsfamilymedicine.com. And so tonight we're going to kind of open the lines up a little bit. If you have any questions, any medical issues, or a topic that you really think that we need to look at. But while we're going through that, we're going to talk about this whole monkeypox thing that's going around. What is it all about? Do we need to be concerned about it? Is it just more fear-mongering? What's really going around the world? And with all the stories that we've been seeing, what's really going on? What does this mean to have it? So, it sounds so unusual, but we've had an unusual last 2 years, I think, with COVID and everything else that's happened. So I'm never kind of surprised anymore. I don't know if I've become a little bit jaded, but we all know that nothing really surprises any of us after all the things that we've kind of gone through over the last few years. And so just to let you know, within the last few weeks or months, we've been having these reports of a so-called illness called monkeypox. So this is from the World Health Organization. And they're talking about monkeypox being an outbreak in non-endemic countries, so countries that it usually doesn't come from. So this monkeypox thing that they're talking about has been in certain countries, and there's always been a few cases. It's what we call endemic, where, there's always a few cases, but it's not like everywhere, but it's never quite zero cases in particular countries. and you usually don't have a lot of spread of these types of diseases. They're kind of localized to certain areas. And because a lot of these things have been eradicated mostly over time because of good hygiene practices, good health care, good nutrition. So a lot of these viral illnesses really kind of pop up in populations that are immunocompromised, as we're going to see. So what is the WHO write? They write that the outbreak at a glance, this is from an article, 29th of May, 2022. And they talk about since May 2022, there's been a monkeypox has been reported to the WHO from 23 member states. And these states are not endemic or not the countries that usually would have monkeypox virus. They've been investigating this, and it's really like an ongoing thing. The majority of the reported cases were not linked to established travel or to the endemic areas. So this is very unusual because the places where this virus would normally be found, parts of West Africa and stuff like that, they're not really linked to the cases. As we're going to see, a lot of Western nations, so-called Western nations, are involved in this, and they usually don't have these kind of cases. And this is what's really been the issue because it's outside of its normal state. I did some background reading and was finding that there were some cases that were popping up in Africa over the last few years, but nobody was really paying attention because they kind of like, oh, that's what happens there. But now that it's reached other countries and you're starting to have these pockets of cases, this is what they're looking for. So the identification and confirming suspected cases of monkeypox had no direct travel links to the endemic areas, and this is very atypical. They notified the WHO by these various countries and show that cases are mainly being reported amongst men who have sex with men. So this has also been a very controversial component of this because a lot of gay men or men who have sex with men have been a lot of the main persons that have been involved in these cases. And it would make you think that it's sexually transmitted. It's not known to be a sexually transmitted thing, but it is something that you can get with if you are in close contact with other people. One case of the monkeypox in an endemic country is considered an outbreak. The sudden appearance of monkeypox simultaneously in several non-endemic countries suggests that there may have been undetected transmission for some time, as well as amplifying events. So something, and they're looking for what this thing might be, which has kind of pushed this into the forefront. The current publication of Disease Outbreak News on update from May 2022, the 21st of May, this edition provides information on this. So they talk about a description of the outbreak itself, and that there's been a total of 257 laboratory confirmed cases as of May 26, and around 120 suspected cases that have been reported to the WHO. No deaths have been reported. The situation is evolving rapidly, and the WHO expects that there will be more cases identified by surveillance in non-endemic countries. And the immediate actions are focused on providing accurate information to those who may be at risk, stopping further spread among groups at risk, frontline healthcare workers. I don't know if we're all starting again. We have a call already. So caller, you're on the air.
Hey, Doc.
Caller? Hello.
Hey, Doc.
Hi.
Hey, Doc. You know, we all love your show, you know, because you bring us truth.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I want you to continue to do what you do because we need you.
You're making my day.
No, we really do, because you seem to be bringing truth. I want to ask you a question. You said that the monkeypox is something that is connected to men having sex with men?
Well, in this particular outbreak, so the cases that they're seeing outside of the normal cases, the one or two that would pop up in like West Africa, have the persons that have been positive have been men who've had sex with men.
Okay, good.
And so it seems that wherever this started in Europe or in the UK, because I'll tell you now where the cases are, it's a lot of countries countries where you wouldn't have expected it to be, but Argentina, Canada, United States, Sudan has a case, Austria. So really a lot of cases in Canada, 26 cases. United Kingdom has 106. But what they found is out of these 257 confirmed cases, most of the men are homosexuals. So
but isn't that what they do in Parliament?
Sorry?
Isn't that what they do in Parliament? Men arguing with men?
I can't speak to that.
You can't go there.
But it just seems that within this particular this is the reason that they're kind of cautious about talking about this, because we don't want to create any kind of stigmatism. But that is so far, this is straight from the W Health Organization website. So this is I'm not trying to say anything about anybody, but this is
what I'm trying to say is if men is having sex with men, and men are supposed to be in control of this planet, and they decide to reduce themselves to less than men, monkeys come alive, right?
Oh boy, you're gonna get me.
No. Let me pause because I won't go further. I won't dig this ditch.
Don't dig a ditch for me, because I'm a Christian. I have a Christian lifestyle, but I don't really get on anybody for whatever they're into, as long as they are consenting adults that are doing it away from wherever like that. So I don't want to get into that too much, caller, but I thank you for calling. I appreciate you, but I don't really want to get on anybody specifically for that reason. I more so just want to point out that is the group of people that have been affected, and they have to bring that out because they want them to be aware that it is circulating within that community, because it is transferred by very close interaction, and quite a few. WHO has made this a point that men who have sex with men have been a lot of cases that we've seen so far. I'm just going to quickly go through and we'll talk about exactly what is monkeypox and how, if we should be worried about it at all. So in addition to non-endemic countries reporting cases, the World Health Organization continues to receive updates on the status of ongoing outbreaks through established surveillance mechanisms for cases in endemic countries. The African region, the laboratory strengthening of endemic countries is a priority, enabling. Like I mentioned, the countries that were involved, 23 countries so far have reported to the WHO, and that includes Argentina, Canada, French Guyana, United States, the United Arab Emirates, Sudan, Austria, Belgium, Czechia, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Israel, Italy, Netherlands, Portugal, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, United Kingdom, Great Britain, and the Northern Ireland region, and Australia, with most of the cases being identified in that UK region, which was 106 cases. Portugal had 49, Spain had 20. United States has reported about 10 so far. This was as of the 26, so maybe a few more by now. And Canada had 26 cases. So as you can see, and there are other cases that are under investigation, between 117 and 127 cases. So this is kind of popping up. It's really strange. And so we are going to talk about that. And when we look at the cases of endemic, what we call endemic cases, or places where this usually happens, we'll see that the countries that we consider endemic or known to have monkeypox would be places like Cameroon. These are mostly African nations, which had about 25 cases over the last year. Central African Republic, 8. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, which had the most cases, 1,284 cases. Nigeria, which had 46 cases, and the Republic of the Congo, which had an additional 2 cases. So those are the countries that we most expect. So these other countries are not known to have that level of problems with monkeypox. And so monkeypox is pretty much a viral illness, and its symptoms are similar to those seen in patients that have smallpox. Now, some of you might remember smallpox from back in the day, but that's been eradicated for over 30 years. And smallpox is a much more virulent or stronger disease than monkeypox. So it's not as bad as smallpox, which has a really high rate of severe disease. About 30% of more people could die. But this monkeypox is like smallpox's cousin. It's not as virulent. It does not kill as many people. And that it's more closer to some of the viral illnesses that just happen to have a rash or illness, especially the one that's going on. And we'll talk about that. Right. So it's similar to smallpox, but it is clinically less severe. It's caused by the monkeypox virus, which belongs to the orthopoxvirus family, genus, and the Poxviridae family. The name monkeypox originates from the initial discovery of the virus in monkeys in the Statens Serum Institute in Copenhagen, Denmark in 1958. So they actually found this inside the lab. And the first human case was identified in a child in the Congo in the 1970s. So it's been around quite a while. It's been kind of just, teetering and just in Africa for a bit. But it has had a few these new cases that we've seen, and it can be transmitted from person to person by very close contacts, body fluids, respiratory droplets, and any kind of contaminated material from bedding. The incubation period for it is 6 to 13 days. So if you were to encounter someone within 6 to 13 days is when you would have some type of manifestation, and that can range up to 21 days. Various animals have been identified as having or susceptible to monkeypox, but it's uncertain of the natural history of whether there are reservoirs or animals that naturally carry it and maintain it in nature. So, it's a very odd thing whenever you hear that there's no reservoirs in nature. I really start to think whether there is some manipulation of disease related. And we're going to see, we've seen so much stuff going on in the last few years, but we need to just be cautious and understanding what's happening around the world. We are kind of a global port, being a nation that does a lot of tourism. And so we do need to be aware, right? Eating inadequately cooked meat and other animal products infected in the animal could also pose as a specific risk. The good thing about it is a very self-limiting disease. There is likely to be little immunity to monkeypox among people, and therefore that may be why, there's a spread immunity living in a non-endemic area. So that's what will cause a spread outside of the normal areas. And so there are two really types of it. There is the West African clade and the Congo Basin. So there's two different types of this virus. And the one in the Congo Basin appears to be the one that's a little bit more severe and more fatal and can be up to 10% fatality ratio. Currently, the Democratic Republic of Congo is reporting about 3% of their cases would be that. Now, the one that's less infectious, that's less severe, would be the one found in West African nations, the West African clade version of that virus. And luckily, the death rate or the fatality ratio is less than 1%. So as you can see, that particular version of this virus, there's a very low death rate that's involved there, around 1%, especially if the population is young. And since 2017, there have been very, very few deaths with monkeypox in the West African clade, and it's they have not been they've been associated with very, very young people or untreated HIV infections. And so that may be one of the main factors of this. Is it seems that it is really more, as we talked about with most viruses, related to immunity. So immunity. So the link between persons who are not being treated for HIV, this might be the correlation that they actually need to look for. So this is something that's out there, but as you can see, immunity is going to be that thing that is going to be protective once again. While one small, so they also go on to talk about the smallpox vaccine that was used in the past, and that would be helpful for this, but it doesn't seem that you will even need any kind of vaccination because this strain that's going around is the mild version, and there are very few deaths, and it's usually related to people who are. And so, they're looking at this and they're investigating what's going on in various countries, and the WHO is recommending containment of further spread. Why I too would like to watch this is because, we don't want to continue in this cycle of really kind of going overboard with every viral illness that comes out. And we live in a world now where everybody needs to educate themselves about what's happening, what's going on, and what are your risk factors. And so it's important to kind of be vigilant in that manner, and so that you're abreast of the situation. They go on to talk about using PCR to check for this virus. It's really, really strange because it's really, really strange that they want to use PCR once again, but I guess they used it for COVID-19, which we know that that's not always a very reliable test. But here we have the PCR analysis coming up once again as a way to sequence or look at this virus and to see whether this is something that they can use. The thing about this, which makes this even more different from COVID-19, is because there are, you can see that you can see that there are actual lesions or rashes or anything like that that would able to identify it. So the need to even do a PCR test is unusual. And they've already gone into publishing articles on the sequencing and the investigation that needs to go on when it's something that's quite identifiable just by what we call the clinical aspect of it. And so do we need to go back into all of this testing and stuff again? No, I think, we have to watch out for the powers that be and their power for how we deal with these things. So we need to keep a very, very sane approach. Let's not let this be like COVID or anything again, but approach this from a very scientific and sane approach. Let's look at the data. So it's really important to be educated on the subject of life. So far, this is not, doesn't seem to be something to really, really be worried about, to be aware of, but it does seem to affect persons who have a low immune system. Smallpox, monkeypox vaccines are available. We talk about them. I don't think there's a need for vaccines. And the WHO has basically published guidelines of surveillance, case investigation, contact tracing for monkeypox, laboratory testing, and advice for the government, public health advisors, and for the gay and bisexual community. It's supporting development of risk communication and community engagement messages for these persons at high risk who are in the early stages of this outbreak. So they are looking at that community and speaking to them and making sure they're aware that people in their community have been the ones to be more at risk for this. And they talk about doing a risk assessment, public health risk assessment at a global level. And we talked a little bit about last week where the WHO was actually looking at amendments so that they would have more control of these kind of outbreaks and pandemics around the world. And I think because people worldwide really looked at this and said, this may not be something that we would want to do. There was a pullback from the amendments that were laid out by the Americans, by the Biden administration. And so a lot of those amendments were kind of pulled off the table to look at. The thing about it is there are different routes in which they look to change the power structure in the World Health Organization. And it is citizens like ourselves, citizens who want to be aware of what's going on in the world that make these types of differences, that cause there to be changes and pullbacks from these kind of considerations. So over the next 2 years until 2024, as the World Health Organization and all of its member states and countries look at making changes changes to have more power consolidated in a single group, we as citizens have to be aware, keep up with the information, tell our leaders and our politicians and all of our officials how we feel about this, how we expect them to respond, and how we expect them to vote on our behalf. Make that a constant thing, and then they really can't do anything that we are uncomfortable with. And we refuse to go back into this type of lifestyle where everything that comes up becomes overinflated, and we have to be fighting for our rights. I don't see that as a very healthy way to be living our lives. And so they really kind of dive into this already. They admit that there's really symptoms that are going on. There's a lot of information here, so you can check out the World Health Organization site on that, because we're going to move to another article where we're going to look specifically at the signs and the symptoms and the problems that are related. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back. Like I said, we're going to open up the phone lines. So I don't want no kind of targeted comments at any particular community or person. But if you have general comments about, monkeypox, what's going on, a question, or anything health related you want to talk about, we can definitely talk about it. So we'll take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll talk specifically about what to look for, what are the signs and the symptoms, and what we should do as people as we go through a time where there's a lot of strange things happening, a lot of illnesses popping up, and how do we keep safe and healthy? All right, we'll be back in a moment on The Doctors In with me, Dr. D. Archer.
One of the biggest regattas on the sailing calendar. It's the 53rd annual Long Island Regatta in Salt Pond, Long Island, June 1st to 4th. Yeah. The biggest economic boost for Long Island is back with more than 40 sloops competing in the A, B, C, and D classes, along with the Long Island Youth Regatta and the Man in the Boat sculling races. Don't miss this major cultural experience June 1st to 4th. The 53rd annual Long Island Regatta in Salt Pond. All of the fastest sloops will be there. Artisans displaying their handmade crafts, jewelry, and scrollwork. Great food, including the world-famous native mutton dishes. And endless memories all await you at the 53rd annual Long Island Regatta in Salt Pond.
Long Island breeze, your sheep are bleating.
Guardian Media will be broadcasting live at the 53rd annual Long Island Regatta, with live updates of the sailing results and activities every day. If you'd like to be a sponsor, just contact your account executive or call the Nassau Guardian at 302-2300. That's 302-2300. Yes, it's back. One of the biggest regattas on the sailing calendar. It's the 53rd annual Long Island Regatta in beautiful Salt Pond, Long Island, June 1st to 4th.
Yeah. Long Island Regatta update. Proudly sponsored by the Salt Fiber Rebar. No steel, no big deal. Pastries Garage, distributors of Castrol. The Delvinas Agency, distributors of Hunt's Ketchup. Promises Trading, distributors of Gator Aid. Lickety Split, a cool spot for hot shots. Standard Services, your one-stop shop for all your household and plumbing needs. And Sands Bales, distributed by Jimmy's Wines and Spirits.
Always on the go? Missed the show? You can now listen to Guardian Radio talk shows anytime, anywhere on Spotify and YouTube by searching Guardian Radio 96.9 FM or by entering the name of your favorite show. You can also listen by logging on to GuardianTalkRadio.com and clicking on the podcast tab. Guardian Radio, continuing to provide you with fresh news and smart talk anywhere, anytime, all day.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Welcome back and good night to the doctors and with me, Dr. Janothra Archer here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Thank you all for listening in and shout out to all our listeners on Facebook. I see you guys. So tonight we were talking about the monkeypox. We've been hearing about it all around the world. It's something that's been popping up in the news cycle. It seems to be that every couple months or so we're having something that's popping up, something to concern us. This is definitely the information age. But the pictures look kind of scary and people want to know what is it going on. And so really it's been around for a very long time, as we talked about, from the 1970s. It was isolated in a lab, and it's not really endemic to a lot of countries. There have been outbreaks in Africa and different places, but this is kind of the first time we've seen it kind of spreading throughout. And controversially, as someone called out, they were very interested to know that there were a lot of cases were spreading between men who had sex with men, and that is just to make people aware what is going on with that particular disease, because there are a lot of guidance and out there from the World Health Organizations and different health organizations, just letting that community know that that is an outbreak that's happening within that community. And so if you want to join in the conversation, 322-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. There was a bit of a scare on the weekend. I saw that there was some social media stuff. People were talking about whether it's here, but as of today, there have been no confirmed cases that I'm aware of. There was a mention, I think, by the Ministry of Health. There was a letter that was going around that there might have been someone in isolation or being watched. I haven't heard if anything has come out of that. But as far as I am aware, there have been no cases in our country. So we are not on that list with the WHO at all. So we're going to talk a little bit about kind of the initial symptoms and how it kind of shows up. And like we say, this is not considered the lethal or the really severe or virulent version of the infection. This is the milder one that seems to be going around. There seem to have been some cases in Africa, and maybe that has filtered over for various reasons, because as countries open up, we're going to get back into the world where things are going to be transmitted and we'll be aware. And I think, we're in such an information age now that people quickly find out about these things, whereas, years and years ago, it would have taken years or months for stuff like this to really be out there. So the initial symptoms of monkeypox include fever, body aches, fatigue. The disease is similar to smallpox, as we talked about, but is much less deadly. The disease can result in a rash that leads to red bumps on the skin. It's a pretty much rare condition called monkeypox, has been confirmed in the United States and Europe, with most suspected cases worldwide. Although there are only about 200 confirmed cases, health experts are starting to investigate the spread and what this means for the public. The monkeypox is a virus that originated, as we talked about, in West and Central Africa, usually confined to animals. Outbreaks have shown that it has jumped to humans. So this is kind of, if you think about it, we had this thing with COVID where we thought that it might have come from bats and it jumped to humans. So I'm always a little bit skeptical anytime I see there's a jump from animals to humans and it's not a normal thing. So it is definitely something to watch. So it is much milder and is not the deadly form at all. And this is Dr. William Schaffner, an infectious disease expert in the Vanderbilt University Medical Center in Tennessee. He's pretty much saying that. And the first confirmed cases, of course, was in May 7th from a person who traveled to the United Kingdom from Nigeria. So this article actually gives us a little bit more information of where they think the initial transfer came from. Additional cases were noted in London, but were unrelated to the first case, suggesting an unlinked chain of infection. So this is what really has them baffled. They don't know how it came from case to case. The initial symptoms of monkeypox are usually an upper respiratory tract infection, like a flu-like virus. That happens, it shows up in about 2 weeks. after someone becomes infected. If you are exposed and infected with the virus, it's a very long incubation period, and they're actually quarantining these people for as long as 25 days. The symptoms include a very prominent fever, body aches, pains, headaches, and fatigue. As the body fights these symptoms, some people have what we call lymphedema or enlarged lymph nodes here after the initial symptoms. These symptoms then kind of progress on to a rash, and that can be found around the hands and the feet, the mouth, or even the genital areas. And these rashes transform into the raised bumps or pus-filled papules you may have seen on pictures. Yes, we have a caller. Caller, you on the air?
Good night, Doc. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay. Hey, Doc, I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
That's the gorilla pox, eh? Or monkey pox, or gorilla pox.
They call it monkeypox. They call it monkeypox.
Babu and gorilla, all of them in the same family, eh?
Oh, similar.
Honey?
Similar.
Yeah. But can you answer the question? Is that like they culture that in feces, eh?
Well, they say bodily fluid, so anything that would have a fluid or comes from the mucosa will probably contain the virus in it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like how you have cholera come out of feces, and is that like that came out of feces? Because I mean bodily fluids, but then they specify the gay community. And
right. I think it's because what they're saying, I didn't see an article about that, but I think I saw a chat on this where they were saying that there might have been some gentlemen from Nigeria that came over to the United Kingdom, and they are part of that lifestyle, and that may be where the initial transmission came from. So because it's a close proximity type thing, anybody who's going to be, it's not that people can't, like a man and a woman can't give it to each other. It's just that the people who seem to have initiated this in the United Kingdom would be of that lifestyle.
Yeah, but it says something because if, I mean, like certain venereal diseases, like you catch it through vaginal contact, wherever, right? And then there's like, so, I mean, it says, they basically say where it come from, but they ain't really put the literature out there to let you know that it's the derivative of feces. Because, I mean, if you're talking with gay men, I don't think they be doing the right thing. So when you're doing the right thing, you know, I mean, sometimes it's just supposed to go straight down in the toilet, but then if you take that and you're going to smear it all over your body, you're going to carry diseases. And if you take that feces and put it all over your skin and things like that, and someone else feces and put it over your skin, you'll have all kinds of pox and things on you. Am I wrong, Doc?
Well, I'm not sure about all that.
Doc,
but
man,
if you're in close, let me just say, if you're in close proximity to someone who has monkeypox, you can catch monkeypox if you happen to be gay or straight.
Yeah, but Doc, what I'm saying is this, right?
Mm-hmm.
A good test is in the lab, right? Just a lab test now. To take just feces and put it on someone's genitals or put it on their skin or anywhere over their body and leave it there for a prolonged period and see what it manifests. You may have the same monkeypox manifest.
Well, I mean, nobody should be putting feces on each other like that.
Exactly, but that's not normal. That's not normal, but in the gay community, it is. So I mean,
I don't know. I'm not a part of that community, so I'm
not a part of it.
I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that right there. If you are living a promiscuous lifestyle, you know, you're at risk of STDs and any type of venereal diseases. So I would say keep a clean lifestyle, and I'm a conservative personally. I don't really like to come out and talk about anybody else's stuff that's going on, but I live a conservative lifestyle because I feel like that is the lifestyle that is going to be best for myself.
Hey, Doc, one thing before I go, right? Like I noticed from I've been in the Gladstone Road area, and like that dump fire, it's smoldering, right? And you can smell that. Doc, let me tell you something. Now, we know that when that dump have any fire before COVID, there's a lot of bronchial problems, or even could be death, right? The people, they go to the hospital and they have their problem and they just die or whatever. But then from here on in, since we're into the COVID thing, if that fire continue, you're going to have a lot of persons going in there with respiratory problems, and they're going to do the test, and they're going to call it COVID, okay? And persons who are taking the injection or whatever, because when you breathe in that toxic smoke like that and things like that, if you ain't really cleansing your lungs or cleansing your I'm talking about your nasal cavity and all of that, because when I understand my nasal cavity is nothing but a filter, a wet filter that is. That has to be cleaned. People don't clean their wet filter. And at the end of the day, if that dump keeps it smaller and it's summer, and if it get light and there be any smoke, we're going to have a problem in this town. Big problems. I speak that because I was asthmatic, I can say, because I had no asthma attack for a long time, because I've been doing certain things over the COVID period that make me very bony, though, doc. I was doing the doc. I do like a vinegar baking soda protocol, right?
Okay.
And then you drink it. It's just a little bit, right? But don't
drink too much baking soda now.
I beg your pardon?
Don't drink too much baking soda now.
No, doc. Baking soda and vinegar is acid and alkaline. Our pH is based on acid and alkaline in here, right? And they introduce that vinegar, like I'm talking about, as an asthmatic, right? And what it does is it clears you. It really clears you, right? And like I being bony, right? But I so bony now. But you know what? I don't remember that because I don't have asthma no more. Okay?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
A lot of those allergic diseases are really based on both environmental and health and nutrition stuff. So you tend to find when you eat a really clean life is what's probably making you thin. You're eating a really clean lifestyle diet.
Clean water, clean food is very important.
Yeah, it's so important.
And the air is most important. But then we take this air for granted, because let me tell you something, Doc. I don't wear no cologne from the age of 17, and I'm in my 6 days now, right? I don't even use no toothpaste, okay? Because, you know what? I understand some things in life, because some of the things they give us to do every day, it doesn't necessarily mean it's good. They tell us to do it, right? But at the end of the day, if I didn't know about this vinegar and baking soda thing, like I got plenty of teeth in my mouth now, right? I would have all the teeth in my mouth. Why? Because I understand that inside our mouth, it has to be balanced. The pH in there has to be balanced, because it's too acidic. What you got problem. Okay, it's because the chances are
Bahamians eat a very acidic diet, though. Bahamians eat
exactly.
A lot of
so that's where the
lime
baking
and sour
soda
and pepper
comes
and stuff. You know, so I think what it comes down to, so that you don't have to be going and doing these things, you know, post a problem, is about balance.
Yes, exactly.
And I really believe in taking a very balanced approach to healthcare and to food and all of those things, because I find that anytime you teeter on any extreme, you tend to have problems. I just had this conversation.
Hey, Doc,
another thing I know
Hey, Doc, another thing I know is too, us as humans, right? We go to the doctor, right? And I don't know, because I stopped going to y'all. Only if it's emergency, I go to y'all, right? But let me tell you something, Doc.
Man.
No, I cold like that, Doc. Want me to say something? For the blood that is in my vein, they're still trying to figure out from a child. If I introduce any kind of chemical, what they call them, they're pharmaceuticals. I call them drugs, right? You know, put that in my blood vein, my blood vessels, right? I got enough going on in my blood at just being normal to introduce that and all the other side effects and whatever it is. I don't have to talk. I don't know. Want me to say something? We must be focused from how our feelings were from a child. It's a good benchmark to know how we felt as a child, and to keep that in your head. Because guess what? When you don't keep that in your head, the doctor will tell you anything. The doctor making money, you know. I'm sorry about that, doc. Doc making money. Doc got plenty of patients. I mean, patients as in person, not patients as in, well, I can take all the time with you. You see what I'm saying?
No. Well, you know, not all doctors are like that. I think everybody gets into it to really help. You know, this is a profession where you dedicate to helping people. Now, you know, you have to realize that with every profession, there are different personalities.
Yes, definitely.
So we're all human beings, and you're not going to find like totally perfect people. So even within our profession, you're going to have different personalities. So you find the doctor. You find the doctor that works with you.
Yeah. Hey, Doc. I see one day something. I mean, I say that to knock any doctor per se, right? But what I'm saying that is any professional, right? If you are a professional, now if you get 5 and 10 people to deal with, or 5 and 10 jobs to deal with, it ain't that bad, right? But when you're getting 100, 500, 1,000, or whatever the numbers are, you know what? Then it becomes, well, you're getting tired of it. Because the mere fact
and that's why you have a plethora of physicians, and you can find the one that's right for you. We have another caller though, but thank you, caller, for bringing your points to the table. Caller, you're on the air. We have a few more minutes.
Yes. Good night, Dr. Archer.
How you doing, guy? How are you?
Yeah. Thank you for helping keeping my sanity, and you are the scientific journalist, and so of course I'm excited about monkeypox because I really was reading up on it I know about. This SIV, simian infectious, simian immune deficiency virus, right? But I'd like to thank Stephen for stressing the fact that, Downcome for stressing the fact that the saliva does balance the pH in the stomach because it's alkaline, and most people don't realize that, and they don't want the saliva in their mouth, and they don't understand that maybe you could correct me. There's a muscle in the I think by the solar flex they call it the pylori, but once the stomach acid is not the right acidic level on the pH, this muscle doesn't close, and so this would create the acid reflux.
You mean the pyloric sphincter?
The pyloric
sphincter.
I think it's the pylori.
Pyloric.
Yep, sphincter. It's one of them. It should be the stomach. Yeah, but because most people don't understand it, but I just some of the things that Downcome does, I don't do. I use a basic toothpaste, the hydrogen peroxide, the Listerine sometimes, and maybe just the baking soda, but. I wanted to get on this monkeypox global scare, right? Dr. D, I told you I had zona zoster, which would be a form of chickenpox, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so at the time, I was helping my father build a house. I was working hard, coming home in the evening and going up there. And so I'd read up on it, and it was actually stressed and muscle overworking. But nobody else in the household caught it. So, nobody else in the household caught it. But the thing is, I wanted to stress the fact that on the released data, Dr. Tedros is quoted as saying 2020 to 2030 will be a decade of pandemics. You see?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I'm noticing the emergence of this now. It's funny thing, you're intuitively very, very keen, because what happens is the origins was discovered, they said, in a lab in 1958 in laboratory monkeys, right? Simians, right? And so now this is what is scary for me. You discovered it from 1958. You said you discovered it. You said it didn't have it has an animal reservoir, or don't have an animal reservoir. So that's what I'm saying. How could they say that?
They're not even quite sure. They know that they first isolated it with monkeys,
and so,
once again, there's a lot of linkages to labs and this type of stuff. So we all know.
It obviously is manipulation, because obviously the average person, and I listen to Downcome trying to figure out, the average person don't know nothing about RNA interference technology and gene silencing and the SG RNA guide genes, and how they can manipulate and target genes and silence certain genes through gene editing. These are science is so complicated. I'm glad I did the genetics. I sat in the MIT and understand genetics, because it helped me a lot, right? Now, monkeypox is a DNA virus. And so in the replication, that means it is perfect, versus RNA that is unable to rectify the mutations. So that means this virus is not capable of mutating, not even like a quarter the rate of COVID. And so this is just a scare tactic. They show people the bumps. I was in the front of the food store the other day, and a lady heard me just mention monkeypox, and she jumped up and she got in the conversation. She's quite frightened, but most people really don't understand what's going on. So the thing is, I'm afraid that SIV was a precursor to HIV, and so it of course in laboratory monkeys, and so what happened was, when they did a counter study, they infected the simians with HIV, but it didn't get them sick. But SIV, simian immune deficiency virus, got us sick, but HIV didn't get them sick. So if this is not gene manipulation by any means, see, I know the capabilities of science, and so the fact that a virus can only be cultured, some viruses only grow in cells that they like, and so they know why they culture these viruses. And so even with the contamination of the monkey kidney tissue with the SIV, this SV40 virus, they knew that the monkey kidney tissue contained contaminants. So this was sloppy science at the time. And they noticed, Dr. D. and Dr. Tedros actually is online saying, and they have him quoted as saying 2020 to 2030 will be a decade of pandemic. And all of a sudden they grab him for this power. So every little minute he can be up. It's not going to be a normal paradigm then. They're using science to manipulate us. And I'm afraid that no one is being orientated here. And the fact that you have the medical health professors coming on every day. And Dr. D, so apparently no one in Nassau died from adverse events. Do we have a VAERS reporting system? No. And nobody died from COVID vaccines.
We were just talking about that. I have seen no official reporting way of reporting adverse events. I've asked this question numerous times, and I've never got a proper answer.
But I got to surprise you, because guess what happens now? The thing is, I was upset because nobody has read 55,000 pages of the clinical trial data has been released thus far on Pfizer. But no one in the media, besides you, has read anything released. Not even one page of the 55,000 people, not even one page out of the 9 pages of adverse events and the 1,000 different side effects, from spontaneous abortion to flaccid myelitis to all kind of different side effects. And these people know. We know about the thrombosis.
Over 1,200 side effects that we're not talking about.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, why they keep pushing this issue, like the census paradigm of the fact that I've heard doctors say that most of the people that they're treating right now are vaxxed. And there's no data collection here, like they say, well, how much people reinfection, like breakthrough cases. We don't have no breakthrough cases, and we don't have no post-vaccination death. But a guy who goes to a church told me 2 females that he died subsequently post-vaccination, was complaining of chest pains. And we see the proliferation in the UK and the Israeli studies about the cardiac arrest because of the thrombosis. So, man, everybody has to be a fool, Dr. D. The people dropping out and dying normally, man. No one died from COVID. No one has a breakthrough cases. What's going on? They have taken away the scientific method.
What I can say, 52, is we all have common sense for ourselves, and we can see. It may seem like anecdotal information because we're not putting the data together, but we can all see for ourselves what's happening. Now, what we need is an official response to this. And I think that, certain people just aren't interested in that.
Yeah, but Dr. D, since the clinical trial data has been released, they said Dr. Fauci gone hiding. But Prime Minister is a part of this.
Actually, I think he was involved in trying to pass these WHO amendments. I think that's why he was pretty quiet. But as you can see, they haven't had success with that. But if you listened to me a few weeks ago about the PHEIC that was signed in 2005, you would know that we've already kind of signed into a lot of this, and that's why we are responding the way that we are. This is just further amendments to make this.
I listened to the rebroadcast with you, and it's a word that I laughed when I heard you use it, because I know about stupefying and stupefied, but you said stuperized. So I kind of enjoyed that, because that's what we are. We are stuperized. And the fact that Dr. Minnis was upholding this bad science, right? Dr. D, if people are still getting infected and you couldn't break transmission and all the medical armamentarium that they have, you trying to tell me now, a non-pundit like me was saying they should have taken an antiviral approach and attacked the virus from the point of infection. Even Duncombe realizes that the antibodies are in the mucosa. All right? But science is no longer science to me. The science that you teaching me, the science that is on Google and DuckDuckGo, the information is out there, but I can't read it and decipher it. And I can't see that I'm being fed disinformation. It's like the lies are hurting me more than any pain and thing could hurt me. I didn't even know lies could affect me like that. But to see mass psychosis and disinformation intentionally is sickening to me in this human journey. I don't care who they are, but the former PM really should be held accountable for upholding foolishness and doing what he did under no consensus. They still haven't collected any data, not even on the social economic fallouts as far as education, psychological effects, cytotoxic, cytogenetic. Man, Dr. D, even chromosomal morphology. All right? They haven't done none of these studies. We are a bunch of nation of jokers, just like to run around the market and talking. We know nothing, and we will never know nothing, because we always fight down. I've never come on the radio claim to cure anybody, I claim to just dispense the truth to the global sheep. But yesterday I was despised. Now, you could give me one reason why the former PM uphold all of this foolishness, and there was no science backed by nothing. Still post-vaccination people. I mean, why is it that there's a one-way paradigm? They ain't doing nothing, man. They just sitting back and taking orders from the World Health Organization. Have a good night.
Thank you, caller. Always enthusiastic, 52. You bring a lot of points. I hope you guys are picking up all the things that he's saying. But basically, I agree. I think, where is the science? Where is the call to study? And these are the types of things that we even discussed when Dr. Peter McCullough was here. There should be times when you look and you analyze and you look at what you're doing. What were the consequences? What will we learn from that? And how do we move forward? And if you're not taking that approach, it's not a scientific approach. And so are we speaking in the name of science and not actually involved in science? It's kind of like even with Christianity, when you say a lot of these people are going to call my name, but I will not know them. It's a lot of people speaking in the name of science, but not actually involved or interested in the actual science that we need. You made a lot of interesting points as well about how are we studying this even on a social aspect, on a post COVID platform. What are we looking at? And we're not doing those types of things. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of violence in our schools. That's why our hospitals are, overrun with patients, because we didn't take the time to properly analyze what we were doing, what would be the consequences, and how do we prepare for that. And so we need a more structured and systematic approach. We need to get back to the basics. We need to get back to the science. We need to get back to doing what's right for all of our people here in the Bahamas. And so I'm going to say that I think some of this new monkeypox stuff is fear-mongering. I think we all need to stay sane, stay calm, take care of our health. Immunity is important. Take your vitamins, eat healthy, exercise, get some sunshine. That is your natural vitamin D, and stay safe. So stay safe, Bahamas. Thank you all for listening again. To me, Dr. D. Archer on the Doctor's Inn. And we'll see you next week on Guardian Radio 96.9, brought to you by Medical Concierge Services. Have a good night.